Welcome to the Do Zone, where real entrepreneurs share real strategies about getting things done. I'm your host, Josh Thomas. Tag me at JT Literally and show me what you do in the Do Zone. Every week, I'll pick the best post to feature across all my social networks. This podcast is brought to you by Factor One. If you are a six-figure entrepreneur who's looking to hit 7 this year, there are 3 key shifts you need to make right now in order for it to be possible. Go to iamfactor1.com now, and I'll show you exactly what those 3 key shifts are and how you can get them set up for your business in less than 6 minutes. Once again, that's iamfactor1.com. Today's guest is Richard Flentge. He is the former co-host of EVTV, Electric Vehicle Television, and he is the author of Verities of an Electric Mule. Richard, welcome to the Do Zone. Tell us something you believe is the key to getting stuff done that most people wouldn't think of.
Well, when it comes to business, I would say the key is learning fast and listening to your customers. And over the years, I would tell you that if you're driving yourself as an entrepreneur, you can get tunnel vision and you continue to plow ahead because in your mind, you think that is the most successful route to go. And I will tell you from experience that many things that I've done that led to success was when I had an open enough mind to listen to customers. So if you are trying to build a business, you definitely want to have a learning mind and a good connection to your paying customers, to the people who actually purchase the product or shopping the product. Really tune into them and listen to them. And a lot of times they'll feed you the critical answers that you need to get your business over the top. So
it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good that you differentiated, because the customers who don't pay us, we don't have to listen to them.
Exactly. And they, there's a big difference. And once you become an entrepreneur and you're focused on, getting revenue and getting money in your bank account, you darn sure want to listen to the people that are giving you that. So
makes a lot of sense to me. And so I'm curious, what are verities and what is an electric mule?
Verities is truths.
So well, that makes sense.
So it's the truth of an electric mule. And the mule is sort of this quintessential, I call it the Harley Davidson of farm animals. It has this nostalgic feel. It's a very lovable animal, especially in the farm and the rural atmosphere. And I sort of play that off because I really see the electric car as becoming kind of the electric mule of the world, sort of a beloved vehicle that you feed electricity. And so the book really ties in a whole lot of stuff just really around electric vehicles. So I try to tell the truth the best I can.
You got it. And so as far as I'm curious to learn a little bit more about, your source of knowledge here. So I actually just purchased a hybrid. It's not exactly an electric vehicle, but it's kind of on the way.
Yeah, it is.
And it's my first ever hybrid. And the immediate thing that I noticed when I purchased this car is the engine, the motor, the response, totally different than a gas powered engine. I actually drove the same make and model as a hybrid and as a non-hybrid side by side. And when I got in the gas powered car, I was disappointed.
Yeah. And the full electric experience is very similar to that. They are, the weight is much lower center of gravity. It's much closer to the ground, and acceleration and torque are at a completely different ratio than what people are used to in a gasoline powered car. But now I worked with a company that converted gasoline vehicles, primarily Volkswagens, and put electric drives in them. And so I got a sort of a hands-on experience. And then the other breakthrough in that scenario is the lithium battery. So it is a coming change in the world. It's a disruption in the marketplace. And some of the points in my book, in many ways, I'm trying to bridge that gap between the world that is just stuck on gasoline and the world of electric vehicles. So
And
that's really
so
one of my missions.
And so I'm curious, kind of relating this because this is a business podcast for entrepreneurs. We got a guy talking about electric cars. Like, hey, well, all right, how does that? I'm interested in electric cars, but I'm curious the business case for this because we have been stuck for centuries on gasoline, fossil fuels, and there's a lot of resistance against going off of it. Lobbyists and there's huge money, mega money in oil and OPEC and
Taxes.
all these other taxes. There's all kinds of reasons to stay on the gas powered engine. And so, what do you see as a business case for switching from gas to electric? What is the thing that's going to ultimately flip the script and have us going more towards electric than gas?
Well, in the book, I would describe it as when it becomes pragmatic, when the vehicle technology is advanced far enough and it becomes a very low cost to produce and purchase vehicle. So once they get down the learning curve and the vehicles get on scale, they use quite a bit fewer parts. So when it becomes a combination of much higher energy efficiency, so you're getting the equivalent of 125 miles per gallon, and number two, it's a very low cost car to own and operate. I think when the pragmatic part of it comes in place, I think it's really going to flip the entire business scenario. Everybody is going to rush to it.
It makes sense, and I'm curious since you're here and you probably know more about electric cars than anybody else I've ever met in my life. So I want to ask you a couple of questions. One of the strongest arguments against electric motors and electric vehicles right now is you are swapping out fossil fuels of petroleum for the fossil fuels of coal that needs to be burned in order to generate the electricity. And so I'm wondering if you have any comments on that.
Yeah, that is, I would not say that's really accurate. We have the technology to produce renewable energy. And actually, Texas has a huge geographical zone that is ideal for solar collectors. Now, the issue with renewable energies, wind farms or solar, is that the energy is produced not necessarily as close to the populations or where the energy is consumed. And now we have, well, Tesla, which builds the mega packs or builds these large batteries, we have the ability to store renewable electricity where it's produced in battery packs, and now we can transport it. So if I would say the big part of the equation people aren't seeing is the portable battery. And probably in the future, the answer is going to be portable battery trains. So you could, just like you set coal on a train, which they transport from Wyoming to Tennessee every day. If you, instead of putting coal on a train, just put batteries full of electricity. So the answer is here. It's just not articulated very well by a lot of people.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that if the answer is there and it makes sense, why do you think the adoption is not there yet?
I would say 90% believe it is tax revenue sort of associated with gasoline. They are absolutely, I have been behind closed doors with elected officials, and they are terrified. Gasoline tax, the fuel taxes are a tremendous revenue source for a lot of government entities. So there is a resistance, and it's really based on tax revenue at this point. So
yeah, and I think you could probably chase down any decision that's made about anything comes down to who's making money on it.
You're right. And that's what you have to overcome. Now, the second part of the scenario is we do run some risk. And you hear some of this, and I can tell you run some risk as a civilization from what's coming out of tailpipes, exhaust pipes. that the particulate matter, the heat, the carbon, our atmosphere is finite. And if we continue to pump out toxins and particulates and heat and gas into our atmosphere, you're already seeing some of the effects of it. So
Sure.
we have a twofold motivation here.
Yeah, and I think you really nailed it as far as what needs to happen in order for that switch to occur. And then just to clarify for those that are listening, this is not a political podcast by any means.
No.
This is not talk radio or anything like that. But since we're talking about it, the business case for this, it really has to do with money. It comes down to money. The conversation that I was having just a couple of weeks ago, I purchased this car, and it has this kind of like a driver assist, and you push a button, and it will maintain the lane for you. And you turn on the cruise control, and it will adapt to whatever car is in front of you to maintain a certain distance. So it's not exactly auto drive, but it's very close.
Assisted anyhow.
It's the driver assist, if you will. And the question was asked to me, like, do you think that would become standard? And for those of you who have seen the movie I, Robot that came out 20 years ago, they were fantasizing that in 2034, which is only 9 years away, that we would all be in cars that it is mandatory that you put it on auto drive. And I was thinking about, like, walk with me through this, Richard, because what would have to happen in order for the government to require you to be on auto drive? And
it would have to have a tremendous political takeover. They'd have to kill all the libertarians, I suppose. I would not go along with that. Now,
but that's the thing. They know they can't take you down, but here's what they could do, though. Insurance companies could give you a huge discount if you turn on auto drive voluntarily. And then eventually they'll be able to lobby the government and say, this is a necessary thing, because seatbelts didn't used to be required. And somebody lobbied the government and said, you should make this a law. People have to wear seatbelts. And somebody said yes. And so the insurance companies, they go and say, we need to protect our margins and our bottom lines. Robots drive better than humans. You need to make this a requirement. And we got a lot of money, and it all goes with the money, right?
Boy, you hit me with a left hook right there, buddy. That is a out of the world question. I actually have never pondered that fully through, but it is a distinct possibility. Now, I do remember, which I'm a little bit older, but I remember when the first GPS monitors came out, and like truck drivers were being monitored by their employer and finding out that they stopped or they went home or they went off route. And I remember the grousing back in the day, 20 or 30 years ago. And I assume that you will now have every single movement that you make in an automobile tracked. I still have a libertarian spine anyhow, that I don't know that I want anybody just completely knowing everywhere I go and when my car's driving and when it's on and when it's off. So
it's only a matter of time. But and the conversation, though, is like, what's the percentage right now of electric cars on the road? The percentage of cars that are fully electric?
Oh, it's very small, under 2% for sure.
Under 2%.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't even, and everybody knows Tesla. There's another company called, I think, Lucid. Yeah, Lucid. That's coming out with a competitor to Tesla. And most of the major manufacturers of cars, Kia, Chevrolet, Honda, they all have all electric vehicles. But it's less than 2% of the market. And so it really is going to take a huge effort to really penetrate this.
You're right. Now, the thing is that the world leadership, whether you talk about UN or the major automakers or the stock market, they've all made the decision that it's going to go electric. So they're way ahead of the public on this issue. And there's two reasons. One, fossil fuels is finite and leads to a lot of problems politically. People have gone to war over oil. And then number two, the pollution aspect of it. If we continue on the trajectory that we are going, which is about 1.2 billion automobiles, if we don't stop that machinery of producing more and more tailpipes, in 30 years, we're going to have 2.5 or 3 billion cars. And they pump out toxic fumes and particulate and hydrocarbon gas that goes up into the atmosphere. So
that's where you're going to park.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be all in like, it's going to be other places. And they all want cars, by the way. Yeah. You're right. So
awesome. So Richard, tell us where we can go to learn more about what you do and how we can connect with you.
I have a complete media site, richardflentge.com, RICHARDFLENTGE. I keep a lot of blogs. I've written several books, and I do it. I'm retired, and I just do it for my giving back to the community and to the planet. And I tell them what I know and go from there. So
awesome. richardflentge.com. Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Where you can, that's where you can learn more about the verities of an electric mule.
Exactly. And I sell the book. It's $14.95. I don't, it's just it's a good handbook though. It covers electric vehicles as well as climate change stuff.
Excellent. Well, we're going to wrap up from here. Thanks so much to our guest, Richard Flentge, for joining us and sharing some wisdom about how he gets stuff done and about electric cars and what's coming in the future. You can learn more and connect with him by going to his website, richardflentge.com, and that's FLENTGE, richardflentge.com. If you listen to us on your morning commute or during your workout, somewhere out in the field, be sure to snap a selfie and tag me at JT Literally. Tell me what you do in the do zone. Also, if you're ready to break the 7-figure barrier with your business, but you know what got you here ain't going to get you there, we can help. Go to IamFactor1.com now, and let's see how much impact we can make in less than 6 minutes. Know this, you are Factor One for your own success. Now let's get to work.